Hey, my name's Liz Cunin, and today I'm going to be doing a parent talk. Here I go. Hey, parents, welcome to today's parent talk. Today we're going to be talking about bravery and specifically how to help our kids be brave in the face of scary things. You know, even as adults, we realize that the world can be a scary place. We ourselves feel worry and anxious, maybe even some panic quite often. And our kids, unfortunately, are also feeling this too. There is a rising level of anxiety among young kids today. And so today's talk is specifically about how we, the church, can help you, the parents, come alongside your kids to help them know just how brave and strong and resilient they are. I want to start by recommending an awesome resource. It's this book by Sissy Goff, and it's called Raising Worry-Free Girls. Sissy Goff is a counselor at Daystar Counseling in Nashville, Tennessee. She and her fellow counselors there at Daystar have put out some wonderful resources. Buy them on Amazon at bookstores, and they also have a podcast called Raising Boys and Girls that I would love for you to check out. Some really, really helpful things. In this book, Sissy talks about, especially with girls, young girls, the high levels of anxiety and worry that they're facing today. And we know this is true. You know, even when we look at scripture, Jesus says in the book of John that in this world we will have trouble. Like, that's just the fact of it. We're in a Genesis 3 world. The world is broken and full of sin and sinful people. And so even when we look at our kids and we just want the world to not be so scary and not be so hard for them, and that is a natural thing to feel, but oftentimes, in that feeling of protection for our kids, what we end up doing is removing any and all obstacles and hard things from their life. And that, unfortunately, creates kids that don't know that they're brave. And so we want to help you, even just with some easy day-to-day things that you can do as a family. Find ways to help build those strong muscles in your kids, to help them realize just how brave and resilient they are. So I think one way to start it off would be to make this part of your daily language. You know, if we think about the dinner table at night, like going around highs and lows of your day, make talking about bravery something that's normal. And I would say start with yourself. You know, use examples from your real life of how you got kind of anxious or a little worried about this thing today. And you know what? The worry didn't disappear, but you decided to do it anyway. Let them hear you talk about it. That you, as a parent, as a grown adult, feel worried and anxious sometimes, but that you face it head on. Let them see that you do that. And that way, you can start the conversation going and open it to let them know that it's okay to talk about when they're feeling worried or anxious. I know sometimes we often want to step in and make accommodations for our kids when things get really hard. And I'm not saying there's not an appropriate time to do that. Of course, that's true. There are circumstances, and you know your kid better than anyone does. And so oftentimes, sure, an accommodation needs to be made. But here's an example of something I'm thinking about. Say it's Sunday night, and your kid has something happening that's going to happen Monday that they're a little worried about. And so what happens late Sunday night? They get a tummy ache, right? And their tummy ache gets so bad, they feel so awful that you decide, okay, we're going to skip school. We're going to just stay home on Monday. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes that's what's needed. But what happens when Sunday night rolls around the next week and the worry's still there and this tummy ache comes back? We don't want to start creating a rhythm and a pattern of accommodations for our kids that mean they can get out of things, hard things, or that we just simply remove the hard thing completely, right? There comes a time where we have to be brave enough to help our kid know that being brave doesn't mean there's an absence of fear, doesn't mean there's an absence of worry. It means doing the thing scared, and that's okay. So maybe it means showing up that next Monday and doing the thing that they've been worried about. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to live, and they're going to come home, and they're going to see that they made it. And that builds resilience, which builds bravery. And that's what we're going for here. I also want to give you a title for yourself. I would love for you to see yourself, the parent, as a problem-solving partner with your child. Say that they come to you and they say they're worried about something, right? And you immediately have 3-4 ideas of how best to go about this, right? Your brain jumps to this conclusion and knows what's best to do. Okay, sometimes that's necessary, of course, always exceptions to this. But sometimes, most times, I would say, realize that rather than going ahead and verbalizing those things that they could do to solve this problem, instead of doing that, start asking questions. Be their problem-solving partner. And in doing so, by asking great questions like, okay, well, what do you think would be best to do? And what do you think are some great ways that you could go about helping this situation? By giving the question, the power back over to them, you're training their brains to be problem solvers themselves. And depending on your kid's age or where they are in critical thinking like this, you might really need to help them see those steps. And that's okay. You're training with them. You're their partner in this. But sooner or later, time after time, they will finally, after doing it so many times, when that problem comes, when that worry comes, they'll start asking that questions themselves. And you're training their brain to know that they can trust their own thoughts, they can trust their own problem solving, so that when you're not around, which will happen, you won't always be able to swoop in or solve a problem or help them think it out. And that's okay. You want them to be able to trust their problem solving skills. So be their partner in that and practice at home. Ask those good questions of what should we do? Let's think this out. And the more you are confident in them, the more confident they'll be in themselves too. And I just want to mention too that, it can be tiring, even for us as adults, doing something that we don't want to do over and over again. So expect your kids to drag their feet, or to dig their heels in, especially if they've been brave multiple times or multiple days in a row. Expect them to push back pretty hard, right? But stay strong, stay consistent, and keep encouraging them to do it, and do it scared. And the more they do it, just like going to the gym and working out builds muscle, so doing something scared builds bravery and builds resilience. And that's what we want for our kids. So you're doing great. Keep going. You're loving your kid and showing them Jesus in so many ways. So we are here to help. And I hope you find these tips helpful for your next week.